A long-held legacy of the Amity School of Economics is to hold an international conference every year that is aimed to foster the spirit of applied research and to assist the researchers to gain insights into the fields integral to the ever-dynamic world. A very pleasant afternoon to one and all gathered here, especially to our session chairs, Dr. Shikha Goyal and Dr. Jose Matthews. We thank you for joining us. We thank our session in charge, Dr. Neeru Siddhana ma'am, our head of Amity School of Economics, Dr. Kavita Indapurkar for joining us, and all the panelists, esteemed scholars, and students gathered here. I, Shreya Soman,
and Parasiraj
would like to welcome you to the second day of our fifth International Conference on Sustainable Development Goals, Harnessing Innovation, Technology, and Society 5.0 on behalf of Amity School of Economics.
The aim of this international conference is to provide a platform for scholars, researchers, academicians, and practitioners from both academia as well as industry to share their knowledge and ideas on new trends that are currently shaping the concept of SDGs by utilizing disruptive innovations and cutting-edge technologies within the ambit of Society 5.0. Further, the conference aims to investigate new perspectives and challenges of convergence of all three and outline possible scenarios of achieving SDGs. The conference is designed to cover 6 different sessions, and we have gathered here for the technical session on the theme of multidisciplinary issues in sustainable development. Charlie Munger has aptly said, and I quote, "For some odd reason, I had an early and extreme multidisciplinary cast of mind. I couldn't stand reaching for a small idea in my own discipline when there was a big idea right over the fence in somebody else's discipline. So I just grabbed in all directions for the big ideas that would really work."
So taking on to that quote, we want to see that the objective of our session will be pursued in a multidisciplinary manner across numerous sectors and viewpoints, allowing us to address fundamental and connected problems about sustainable development. This interdisciplinary forum is for researchers, instructors, scholars, and practitioners from any professional discipline who are interested in and are concerned about sustainability. From a holistic standpoint, where environment, culture, economic, and social concerns intersect. In light of this, the goal of this session is to contribute to the sharing of ideas, perspectives on the current level of research in the subject of sustainable development, as well as the field's future orientation. It aims to support academics and researchers, as well as the managers, practitioners working on policies and strategies relevant to sustainable development concerns. The esteemed researchers from corporate and academia gathered here will be touching upon the concepts ranging from corruption to work-life balance, to environmental equities, to micro entrepreneurship, to factors affecting entrepreneurial intentions, green finance, economics of corruption in sport, capital structure determinants. These subtopics in turn exhibit innovation that reveals new elements of sustainable development as well as future advances in the several fields that contribute to the accomplishment of SDGs.
Before moving further, I would like to introduce our highly venerated session chair, Dr. Shikha Goyal. Ma'am is currently working as assistant professor at Mittal School of Business, lovely professional university, Phagwara, Punjab. Having extensive academic experience of 9 years, she has served various institutes like NIT Kurukshetra, JMIT Raddor, and has played a leading role in admissions, cultural, and academic programs. She had been a face of a number of events like HR Summit, Youth Parliament, and MUL. In her career span, she has counseled diversified groups of students for the well-being of individual and academics. She was invited as a resource person for FDP conduction for management faculty and students in the area of stress management, creativity, and leadership. As a researcher, she has presented 8 research papers in international and national seminars and conferences. She has published 10 research papers in journals and 1 chapter in international book. Her career objective is continuous learning and dissemination of knowledge in business and management areas. It's a privilege to have your benign presence among us, ma'am.
Inviting our second session chair for today, Dr. Jose Matthews. Sir, we are humbled by your presence amongst us. Sir, serves in the Faculty of Management of Gedu College of Business Studies in University of Bhutan. He has a teaching experience of over 20 years. Sir's area of interest for research include organizational behavior and human resource management, primarily dealing with entrepreneurship intentions, leadership, motivation, consumer behavior, and sustainability. Sir has published numerous papers in national and international journals. It is a privilege to have you amongst us, sir. Thank you so much. Before proceeding forward with the presentations of the paper, we would like to establish the guidelines for the session for all our panelists gathered here. So first point being, each session shall be chaired by our expert from academy or industry. The presentation of by the authors will be for 6 to 8 minutes, wherein a tab will be provided, or we will ask you to conclude your presentation within the time frame. Discussions and question answer round will be for 2 to 5 minutes. Also, the audio and visual support is given to all the presenters for the presentation.
Without any further ado, I would like to begin with our track. I now invite presenters for today's function with a request to present their papers. The first paper will be introduced by Ms. Akshara Joy on the topic, a study on work-life balance of women police officers in urban Coimbatore during COVID-19 induced lockdown.
Ms. Akshara, we request your presence and we request that you open up your camera, please.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Thank you.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. You both are audible. Thank you for joining us, Akshara Joy and Felna Thomas, ma'am. We are sharing your PPT in just a moment. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay, so once again, good afternoon to all. My name is Akshara Joy.
And my name is Felna Thomas.
So we are doing MCOM from Christ Deemed to be University, Bangalore. Yeah.
So we are glad to present our research paper here. Our research topic is a study on work-life balance of women police officers in urban Coimbatore during COVID-19 induced lockdown. So majority of the time, women face difficulty in maintaining a balance in their work life and drawing and maintaining a line between work and personal life. What is called is work-life balance. And the advent of COVID-19 has disrupted the way of Indian economy perform. And various changes have happened in different sectors. And one such sector which went through drastic changes is health. And a particular importance for good health and well-being is given by the United Nations through SDG 3. And making it important to address to another issue faced by the Indian economy is inequality in terms of gender. It's utmost significant since the same, and it's addressed to SDG 5. And thus, the study examines the challenges and obstacles faced by women police officers in urban Coimbatore in maintaining a good life and a good health and a well-being in the area. So,
So next slide, please.
So next is the objectives of our research. So the first objective of our research is to compare the problems faced by women police at work and at home. Then Second is to analyze the challenges faced by women police officers during COVID-19 induced lockdown. Then to examine the impact of working hours, stress, and safety of health and the women police officers in Coimbatore during the COVID-19 induced lockdown. Then to make suggestions on improving the work-life balance in the event of a continued pandemic situation. So next slide, please. So coming to the hypothesis, our entire paper is based on one hypothesis. That is, there is a significant influence of working hours, stress and safety on the health of the women police officers in urban Coimbatore. So next slide, please. So next is research methodology. So basically the study is primary in nature and investigates the work-life balance of female police officers in urban Coimbatore during COVID-19. And multi-stage sampling techniques is done to collect data using questionnaire methods. And the district of Coimbatore was divided into different municipalities, and random sampling was performed for each municipalities, and the data was collected from the female police officers posted in that area. And the total sampling size is 100. And the variables used for this study are age, marital status, working hours, stress, health, and safety. Then dummy variables is used to represent marital status, and the data for the variables working hours, stress, health, and safety are obtained health and safety that are obtained from the different questions asked in the questionnaire method using a 5-point Likert scale. And for the dummy variables, the marital status, one indicates that the person is married, and the 0 indicates the person is unmarried. And various research papers, government publications, and other journals are used along with the primary study to analyze the findings. So next I hand over to Akshara.
Okay, so next slide. Okay, so sorry. Okay, so with the help of the literature review, we have selected 4 main variables, that is health, stress, working hours, and safety. As we told that we have introduced dummy variables. We have given like for health, in case of health, if they have poor health and stress, long working hours and lack of safety, and 0 if good health, no stress, normal working hours, and proper safety. So next slide. Okay, so these are our findings. So we have done binary regression, which is used to analyze the data we have gathered from the 5-point Likert scale questionnaire. Except all the variables are not binary, except marital status and age. Other 4 variables have analyzed with the help of binary regression. So yeah, after running the regression, we have observed that working hours, stress, and safety have a significant influence or impact on the health of the women police officers in Coimbatore. Further analyzing it on the basis of the age, as we can see in the second table, we have classified, or we have categorized the age group into 2, that is 20 to 45 and 46 to 58. So why we put up 58 is that various studies over the same field have considered the age of 58 as the upper slab, and as also we know that it's a retirement period. So yeah, so the analysis is that 20 to 25, the age group people feel more safe comparing to 45 to 46 to 58 group, as well as comparatively less stressful. And but then comparing of but then if you take the case of 46 to 58 age group, they have long working hours and are unhealthy as compared to 20 to 45 age group. So 46 and 46 to 58 group are more stressful, maybe because they're maybe because on the promotions based on their uh, age, that is like a promotion stress or etc. And less safe because they have more experience, that they might be having more idea on about the adverse effect of the job and all. And the rest of the respondents faces challenges such as unhealthy routine, long working hours, a stressful work environment, and apprehension about their own and their dependents' safety. And it is also clear that majority of the respondents, they are unhealthy and were unable to go for medical checkups because they are highly engaged in COVID duties, are assigned with long working hours, which challenges them to manage their work-life balance, and are more concerned about the safety of themselves, and more as more importance to their dependent safety, as a possibility, like a possibility of becoming infected is high, which leads to a stressful life. Okay, next slide. Okay, okay. As I said, these are findings that variables working over stress safety has a significant influence on the variable health, dependent variable health of the women police officers, and these are the yeah findings of our research. Okay, next slide. Okay, suggestions, after collecting the data and going through this, certain suggestions that we could provide is that the police department must provide supervisor training and orientation programs to women police officers to overcome their challenges, and extra, like, to improve their mental health. To improve their mental health, they can provide sessions like yoga, meditation sessions, or counseling if required. And as a helpful manner, the state government can organize cultural gatherings that will help people understand how the police work, or what are the problems that face in a day-to-day their working life as well as in their personal life. And the government can also provide time off from work with pay, so that they can spend more time with their families as an what to say appreciation for the job done. The next is the department must ensure regular health checkups and other safety measures such as sanitization, social distancing, along with providing leisure time, which is also important as, like, yes.
Excuse me, ma'am. This is your indication that your 8 minutes are over. Please wrap it up.
Okay, okay. Yeah, sanitation, social distancing, and all. And the department can obtain regular feedback from the police office, especially in case from the women police officers, so that they can keep on improving their issues and the facilities provided to them. Okay, so next slide. Hello. Okay. So yeah. So we know. So yeah, while kind of comparing the work-life balance of women police officers before and during the pandemic, we can see that it is not the same. Reducing, they have gone through various what to say. They have gone through various uh, problems as well in order to manage the work life and personal life. So the department can, or the department can reduce their working hours, and increase the number of female police officers in the department, allowing for more flexible hours, which help them feel more comfortable with their work. And also they can provide regular checkups for women police officers, especially for women, and should be promoted because it is a concern of their family's health as well. So yeah, that's all from our paper.
Thank you, ma'am, for your presentation. Now I request the session chairs to share the valuable insights or to share any questions that they have. Session chairs, Dr. Shikha Goyal and Dr. Jose Matthews. Any questions that you may have, please ask them.
Yeah. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I just have two questions in my mind. That why you've chosen this women police officers, basically.
Sorry, ma'am.
Why you have chosen the women police officers? Why not it's a police officers only?
the work-life balance and family life, because they are playing a dual role, no? They are playing the dual role as to manage their work and the family. If in case if they are married, they have to take care of their children as well. So we found that women police officers are more struggling to manage the work-life balance especially during the COVID.
So have you checked this gap somewhere, or this is your own assumption behind this? Because I believe that nowadays it's not like that women and men, they have the different roles, isn't it?
Yes,
I'm sorry, but I'm not able to hear the answers properly.
yes, ma'am. We have obtained this through our literature review, ma'am, from our literature review.
During the pandemic itself?
Yes, ma'am. We have gone through the research articles which are during the pandemic itself, which have been concentrated on during the COVID itself.
Okay, okay. And then another question from my side is that why you use multiple regression analysis? What is the multi-state sampling? I'm so sorry. Why you use multi-state sampling?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, like if in the Coimbatore has been divided into different phases, like south, south, north, east, and west, and it is further divided into 8 divisions, like north urban, north rural, south urban, and so on. So in total, there are 8 divisions, and we have done a random sampling in the main one.
That's it?
Yes, ma'am.
What is multi-state sampling actually? According to you, if you need to define that.
Yes, ma'am. Multi-stage sampling is dividing the entire phase into subdivisions and then collecting the data as a representative
Only
of
on
those.
only onto the basis of geographical location? When I have to divide
Yes,
my
ma'am.
sample onto the basis of geographical location, I should use multi-state sampling, according to you? Is it the meaning for that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
Fine. So that is it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now I invite Ms. Anita Taneja, and her topic is salaried class investors, satisfaction level towards the investment in pension plans, a study of Haryana state. Ma'am, I request, okay, you have on your thumb. Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, you will start the presentation? Okay, thank you so much. Shall I start now?
Yes, ma'am, you may begin.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Good afternoon to everyone. Myself, Anita Taneja, PhD research scholar from Lovely Professional University, Fagada, Punjab. My topic of research paper is salaried class investors satisfaction level towards the investment in pension plan, a study of Haryana state. I'm here to present this paper on the behalf of myself and my co-author, Dr. Mahesh Kumar sir. Next slide, please. This is the outline of the research paper. This paper consists this broad concepts. That first is the introductory part. Second one is the review of literature. Third one is the objective of the study. Next is a research methodology. Next is data analysis and conclusion findings. And last one is the references. Next slide, please. This is the introductory part. As we all know, retirement is very important stage of the human being's life. On that situation, nobody has a particular source of income to live with the standard of living which is maintained in the working life. As per the CRISIL report 2019, that the Indian population of 17% of the Indian population will be elderly up to the 2050. So it is a major concern for the government to provide the social security to this elderly population and challenge for it. There is a two ways to protect the elderly population. The first one is provided the social security by the government, or the person himself or herself save for the future and save for the retirement by their own contribution. Next slide, please. There are many investment option avenues regarding the saving for the future, but they are like the investment in the real estate, investment in the precious metal, in the post office, in the bank deposits, and in the mutual funds, and in the pension plan. But their pension plan is the one of the most important investment avenue for the safer old age. It is started by the British government in 1871 to facilitate its native employees. But after that time to the till date time, government made very improvement or amendments in this pension plan for the government or the private sector employee, even or the unorganized sector also. There is a many in the schemes for to investment in the pension plan, like the public provident fund, organizer provident fund, micro pension schemes, occupational pension scheme, national pension scheme. National pension scheme is already open for the unorganized sectors also from 2009. So there are so many pension plans organized by the government or private sector pension fund manager, who provide the facilities to the employees or unorganized sectors to maintain their retirement life, because retirement life is very important stage of life and provide the social security to them. Next slide, please. This is a review of literature. On the basis of the review of literature, that some findings are there, that there are some authors. Without wasting of time on this topic, I am going to analyze this. Just I give the brief review of that literature, that most of the respondents most of the researches shows that and found that the people are less risk aware, and female are more less risk aware from the male, and they are less financial literate than the man, and they are less risk averse. So they invest in the traditional investment avenues like the post office and the bank deposits. But the male are worse than the female, so there is they are trying to invest in the innovative products also, and they are satisfied with their investment plans. Next slide, please, ma'am. Next slide. These are related to all the literature which I have discussed. Next slide, please, ma'am. Next. Yes, this is the objective of the study. The main objective of this study is to find the satisfaction level of the salaried class investors toward the investment in pension plan who invest in the pension plans. Next slide, ma'am. This is the hypothesis. The main objective is to find the satisfaction level on the basis of the demographical profile. So that is a hypothesis that there is a significant difference between the demographical profile based on the gender, age, marital status, nature of employment, educational qualification, type of family, number of dependent family member in the family, and there is a significant difference between this demographical profile with the satisfaction of level of the investment in the pension plan. Next slide, please. This is the research methodology. First part is as a population of the study. Population of the study consists the salaried class investors of Haryana state. Data is collected from the primary data and secondary data both. Primary data is collected from the survey method through a structured questionnaire, and second data is collected from the journal and newspaper, journal, books, and websites. And the sampling method is a purposive sampling method, because my purpose is to find the satisfaction level of investment in the pension plan of the salaried class investor. For this purpose sampling is used, and the sample size is 300 respondent. Data analysis and technique to data for the data analysis and interpretation. For the data analysis, t-test and ANOVA percentage techniques tools were used to analyze the data and find the significance difference between the demographical variable and the satisfaction level toward the investment in pension plan of salaried class investors. Next slide, please, ma'am. This is the demographic profile of the respondents. Then the demographic profile are categorized in the 7 variables. That first is a gender, male and female. There is approximate 50% of the male and female. On the basis of age, these are categorized into 5 categories: 25 years, up to 25 years, 25 to 35 years, 35 to 45 years, and 45 to 55, and above 55. This shows that the most of the respondent lies between the 25 years to 45 year age, means the persons invest in their pension plan from their beginning of the working stage. And the marital status, married and unmarried, married persons 233 and unmarried is the 67. So the married person are more invested in the pension plans. Nature of employment, government or private, that is a 212 and 88. There's a 212 for the government sector. Maybe this result shows that the government sector employees have the mandate to invest in the pension plans. So may the number of the government employees are there more than the private sector employee. Qualification, that is up to secondary, graduation, post-graduation, diploma, technical, and any other. This is the most of the respondent completed their post-graduation degree. And the type of family, nuclear and joint, approximate 50% respondent are belong to the nuclear and joint family. So it means there is no difference between the type of the family for the investment in the pension plan. And the number of dependent family member, 1, 2, 3, 4, more than 4 categorized. And the most of respondent have the 2 members dependent on them. Next slide, please, ma'am. This is the first part of the analysis, that is that t-test statistics for to find the gender and the significance level of salary per investor for their pension plan. That these are the 13 statements or variables to check the differences of the gender between the male and female. That is availability of the tax benefit, government contribution in the pension plan, pension fund performance, regular information available, and the deduction from the salary to contribution, the pension plan, and availability of annual report, clients services, term and condition of the pension plan, stability and the certainty in the return, and the premium payment frequency, and the withdrawal procedure, and the policy issuance time after the taken the policy. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. This is your indication that your 8 minutes are over. Please wrap it up.
Okay. So on the basis of that, this is the gender, the basis of there the male and female, these all the all the values of the p value, it is greater than 0.05, because the confidence level taken in this study is that 95%. So all the hypotheses accepted, that means there is significant difference between the male and female. Next slide, please. On the basis of age, ANOVA statistics used, and in this also shows that all the p values is greater than or more than 0.05. So that is also all the hypotheses accepted, that there is a significant difference between the age group and satisfaction level. Next slide, please, ma'am. This is also shows that the satisfaction level on the basis of the marital status, and all the p values are greater than 0.05. So there is also all the null hypothesis accepted, and there is significant difference between the married and unmarried satisfaction level. Next slide, please, ma'am. On the basis of the nature of employment, there is also significant difference between the married and government and private sector employees, all because there are the significant difference, the p value is greater than 0.05 for all cases. Next slide, please, ma'am. This is on the basis of the qualification. There is also all the values are greater than 0.05. This is also accepted that hypothesis, there is a qualification difference in the satisfaction level on the basis of the qualification of the respondent. Next slide, please, ma'am. On the basis of the nature of family, there is also a significant difference between the satisfaction level of the nuclear family belong to the respondent belong to the nuclear family or joint family, because all the values are greater than 0.05. Next slide, please, ma'am. And also this is the last analysis point, that is a number of the dependent family members and the satisfaction level. These all the Welch value, F value, all this shows that the p value is greater than 0.05. This is also all the hypothesis accepted, and there is a significant difference between the number of the dependent family members respondent of their satisfaction level. Next slide, please, ma'am. This is the conclusion. This paper concluded that there is a significant difference between the married, unmarried, male and female on the basis of all the demographical profile taken in this study. That is a significant difference between their satisfaction level of the respondent. Their satisfaction, all are satisfied. All our respondents are satisfied, but their satisfaction level is different because there is a mean score is different. So this is a conclusion of the paper. And next slide, please, ma'am. These are the references taken for the study. So all this is from my side. Thank you so much, ma'am. Please, any query?
I request the session chairs to address their questions to Anita Taneja, ma'am.
I have a simple question. Do you think there is a fundamental problem with the current pension plan? If so, what are the policy implications of your findings?
Sorry, sir, your voice is not audible to me. Please, you can.
Do you think that there was a fundamental problem with the pension plan? If so, what are the policy implications of your findings?
Okay, sir. Sir, according to research, on the basis of the finding, the salaried class investors are satisfied or not satisfied. And the finding is that they are satisfied, means the policies making by the government or private sector fund manager regarding their employees, the facilities provided by these fund managers to their clients who are the salaried class investors, it means it is a good enough for their satisfaction. And according to that, they can improve all other factors and including for their satisfaction also for the further improvement in these policies.
So you have primarily compared the demographical variables. Beyond
Yes.
that, are there some insights into the study?
Sorry, sir.
You have primarily made demographical comparisons.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So beyond that, are there some insights into the study?
So that is a part of my research thesis. So it is included in the part is this paper only. And in the research or the PhD, I'm included that is a social security condition which have the taken by the respondents in their personal life. In that time they have good enough property, their working spouse is working or not. On this basis of that, they are investing on the pension plan or not. If they are invested in the pension plan, so they are satisfied with that. So what is the level of sort of social security condition and investment in the pension plan, and what is the satisfaction level on that?
Okay, thank you.
Now I invite Ms. Shweta Yadav, and her topic is Green Finance, Accelerating Sustainability in Aviation, Opportunities and Challenges. Ma'am, I request you to turn on your camera, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shweta Yadav, Research Scholar of IGU University. I'm glad to be here with you. And thanks to Amity University for this opportunity to present my paper. And I'm here with Mr. Kuldeep, who supported me for this research aviation, including working with the leading OEMs. So aviation today is increasingly popular mode of transportation globally, and today we all want to live in a better world, means more healthy, green and sustainable world. And same we expect for our future generations. Hence, we all are taking responsibility of all our activities or business to be sustainable and eco-friendly in order to achieve this simple ambition of a sustainable world. Hence, aviation industry is also taking necessary steps towards sustainability. So, where green finance is playing an important role to accelerate this growth. And in my paper, I will briefly sharing about the related opportunity and challenges in this sectors. And so, what is a green? So, basically, going green means is using environmentally friendly products and services. Green finance instruments like green bonds and green loans, and green finance, basically financial investment pertaining to sustainable development strategy initiatives as well as environmental regulations which promote the growth of sustainable economy. And however, green finance also include the climate funding. So green finance not just about the financing some operating expenditure of business, but also and not only purchasing assets, but it is also support development of new technology in which financing for the development. And if you may think about how much green funds available globally to support the sustainability, so like approx $250 billion green bonds were issued in 2019 globally. And even in the during pandemic, green finance showing the exponential growth, and people business are focusing on sustainability and all our futures. So so recently around the world. So recently around the world, there are many activities linked to the green financing and the sustainability loans, which are mainly about the financing of the less carbon emitting aircraft. Airlines are coming basically forward to replace the old technological aircraft to the new technology. And as you see in the screen, some recent green financing deals were happened like Deutsche Bank, Etihad Airlines, etc. And there is a recently example, just 2 days before news, recently in India, also the aviation minister, Jyotiraj Sindhya, announced that will be a carbon mapping of all the airports, which means India is also considering this type of things and further moving to the sustainability. And recently, Indigo Airlines also made the flight with SAF, Sustainability Aviation Fuel. And I have been studying the research methodology, like while a descriptive research design I chosen in my current study because the design aims to gather information pertaining to the present state of any scenario. And this method generally aims to identify the exact profile of the event, peoples, and stimulations. And basically the systematic literature review method is adopted here to carry out the research into basically 3 types of stages, like planning the review, conducting the review, and the reporting. So planning the review, basically the purpose here is to summarize the existing studies and purpose the future avenues of the research based on the limitation gap identified in a particular 2 aviation sectors. And come to the conducting review. This include the identification of keywords, literature search, and the inclusion or exclusion criteria, and which are green finance, aviation, airline, sustainability, and the green bonds. And now come to the reporting. Basically, the reporting is made on the descriptive and thematic analysis, and the research is performed by extracting information from the studies relating to the purpose of primary research here. And come to the literature review. So which I have been studying for this research purpose are related with the reduction of carbon emission according to the 2020 report. Despite the fact that GHG emission in 2020 are expected to be down around 7% from the preceding year owing to the coronavirus crisis, meeting the Paris Agreement objective in the long term would be exceedingly. So according to this report, there is a limited amount of time to enforce emission reduction initiatives. So the spread of renewable energy, decrease of coal usage, advancement of energy efficiency, electric transitions. So this is all attempts in energy intensive sectors according to the IRANA report 2019. And if I go through any other literature review, then basically the researcher tried to accomplish the research objectives by identifying the framework pertaining to green finance and addressing the innovations regarding the development of financial tools, and also discuss the multidisciplinary approach and principles of environmental sustainability and ethical financing are captured in growing discipline of the green finance. So basically, it is an innovative path for international development and solving a variety of global challenges. So the opportunities and challenge, the major opportunities is that the more funds are available comes from the new investors. As the green economy is developing, the focus will be on the aviation sector, which is a major contributor to the global carbon emission. So, but there is also some biggest challenges are here because aviation industry is a capital intensive industry and lot of funds and investments are for the research and development process. For example, if manufacture a battery for the purpose of using in the car, so it is very easy. But if are manufacturing some anything or strategy or some like eco-friendly products for the airlines and for the airports, so many research and developments include and huge investments also indulge in the research and development process. So there is a biggest challenge because of the high expensive cost. And other challenge is the
To wrap up
sorry?
your PPT. Ma'am, please come to the conclusion, the findings and the conclusion, because your 8 minutes have passed. Please wrap it up.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you,
So
ma'am.
now the conclusion, of course, reducing to promote more activities of a green finance, which leads to sustainable future. The regulatory body or like the industry would have to make efforts, make green financing available widely. So I believe this topic can be further continued to be studied, which I myself will be doing during my PhD research while being more focused on socio-economic impact of green finance, which is more relevant to the common people. Thank you from my side. If any query you are, feel free to ask, please.
Requesting the session chairs to ask any questions to address ma'am and ask any queries they have. Session chairs, over to you.
So regarding methodology, you mentioned about thematic analysis. What is the specific methodology that you used in this study?
Please repeat again, sorry.
Regarding the methodology of this paper, you mentioned about thematic analysis. So what is that specific methodology that you used in this study?
Basically, this study, the report is made on descriptive and thematic analysis, and the thematic means extracting information from the studies relating to the primary purpose.
So what are the criteria that you use to extract the contents of the review?
Criteria like ESG, environmental, social, and governance related to the CORSIA, carbon offsetting reduction rating agency, who provide and set the criteria related to the green finance loans, green finance bonds.
What about the reliability and validity of the data?
Sorry?
What about the reliability and validity of the data?
They are from industry experts.
Okay. Okay, that's all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. We once again thank Shweta ma'am for giving us a wonderful insight on a topic. Next, we will invite Ms. Suman to present her paper on the topic Intellectual Capital Performance Analysis, Evidence from VAIC Model. We request Shweta ma'am to unshare her PPT, please. Over to you, Suman ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. A very good afternoon to one and all. Ma'am, can you please share my screen? Or I have, okay.
Ma'am, over to you.
Ma'am, can you please put on a, yes, ma'am, presentation mode. I just want to know. Okay. Oh, very good afternoon to one and all. Myself, Suman. I'm a research scholar from the Department of Management Studies, Dean Bandhu Choturam University of Science and Technology. My today's topic for the presentation, that is the intellectual capital and the performance analysis, evidence from the VAIC model. So if I start with the introduction, ma'am, can you please change the slides? Yes, if I start with the introduction, some people are saying nowadays that this is the era of the globalization, or some are saying this is the era of the knowledge. But if I was saying this is the era of the intellectual, so I was not wrong to say this, that this is the era of the intellectuals, because nowadays what happened that the more people that depends more on the mental work as compared to the physical work. So in this age of the knowledge, physical resources are considered the secondary as compared to the mental resources, or I can say the intellectual resources or the intangible resources. So knowledge assets are more important nowadays for facing the competitions and even for the value additions for the firms. So globally, what happened nowadays that economy has changed from the factory based to the knowledge based economy. Nowadays, what happened? Earlier, what has happened that most of the people, so the organization, they consider that physical capital, that is the most important, means capital employed is the basis for the company's growth, for facing the competition, for the value addition. They think that the physical capital is more important. But nowadays what happened that intellectual capital is replacing the physical capital, and intellectual capital is the most important capital, and that is replacing the land, labor, machinery, everything. So like the human capital. So globally, the scenario has changed nowadays. So ma'am, can you please change the slides? Yeah, so aside from that, what happened nowadays, the modern economy, what they think about that, the success of the business, or I can say then how the firms are facing the competitions, how they increase their value, that is totally depends on the intellectual capital. So because of these factors, there is one author, what he says that in 1997, he says that intellectual capital should be regarded as one of the basis for the company's and national growth. And for the success of any business, for any country, it is the intellectual capital that play a significant role. So ma'am, next slide, please. Yeah, so before going to the review of literature, it's important what is the intellectual capital. I'm discussing about the intellectual capital, how it is contributing for the companies, how it is contributing for the country's success. So intellectual capital, what is the intellectual capital? So what is intellectual capital? Nowadays, there is a no single definition that defines the intellectual capital, because every person's, they have their own perspective, they have their own opinions, they have their own expertise, skills, they define according to that intellectual capital. So there is a no single definition which defines the intellectual capital, but there are some definitions which earlier defined by some authors like Stewart in 1997. What he think about the intellectual capital, he thinks that intellectual capital is a tactful knowledge that is useful for the value creation of the firms. Another author, that is Admissions and Sullivan, in 1996, what they think about the intellectual capital, they said that intellectual capital is a knowledge that can be converted into the values for the firm. So intellectual capital as a possession of the knowledge, stakeholders relationship, and applied experience of the employees, professional skills, business technology, which together employed to attain the competitive advantages by the firm. So what I understand what the intellectual capital in a layman language, if I describe what is the intellectual capital of the companies, intellectual capital of the companies is like, it is includes the human capital, like the skills, their expertise, their knowledge, relational capital, the relations the company has with the other stakeholders, means the customers, the suppliers, the managers, means what kind of relationship they have. The other component of the intellectual capital, that is the structural capital of the companies, that is means the copyrights, patents, all this includes the intellectual capital. So if I combine the three components, totally intellectual capital is the combination of three components, that is the human capital, structural capital, and the relational capital. So if I go to the how the review of literature related to the intellectual capital performance analysis, so there are so many studies like in 2017, Bulle 2017, he measured the intellectual capital efficiency of the performance, and what he found that the performance of intellectual capital is higher in companies with the higher performance. Ma'am, can you please change the slides? Yeah, like in India, Kamath 2007, he utilized the methodology, that is the value added coefficient methodology, to calculate, or I can say to measure the efficiency of the banking sectors. And what they discovered that foreign banks are much better as compared to the domestic banks in terms of the intellectual capital. So there are so many studies which we have found in the literature, and they define how the intellectual capital should be measured, the intellectual capital of the companies, and what kind of differences they found if they select some kind of sectors to measure the intellectual capital efficiency of that sectors. Ma'am, can you please change the slides? Ma'am, ma'am, research gap. Can you come on the research gap of the study? Yeah. So what kind of research gap I have found? I'm not going through the each and every literature review. There are so many studies which we have found, but what kind of gap, literature gap, what I have found from the literature after the extensive study of the literature, that most of the studies are done on the sector specific, because what the people are thinking that intellectual capital is only important for the companies that is based or that are related to the knowledge based. It is not important for the other companies. So this was the main gap which we have found from the literature. So to fill that gap, what was the main objective of the study? That to measure the intellectual capital efficiency of the CNX Nifty companies, which I have taken for the sample. And CNX Nifty companies, that is the diversified samples which comprises the 13 multiple sectors of the Indian economy for the period of 3 years, that is 1617 to 1819. And so what kind of methodology I have used? Ma'am, can you please change the slides? Yeah, what kind of methodology we have used for this study? This study is totally based on the secondary data, and the methodology what I have used, that secondary data, that is the CNX Nifty sample size is the CNX Nifty companies, and for the period of 3 years, the data which we have taken, that is from the Proves softwares. The secondary thing, how we measure the intellectual capital efficiency, that's the most important. The question arises, how we measure. Ma'am, can you please change the slides? How we measure the intellectual capital efficiency. So there is one methodology, that is the methodology given by the Antic Pulik in 1998 and in 2002, and time to time he changed and he modified this model according to that model. Ma'am, can you please change the slides? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible. Actually, ma'am, your 8 minutes are up. So we would request you to actually.
Ma'am, I can conclude my study. Within 1 minute, I can conclude my study. Can you please come on the conclusion part? I have to show what kind of study, what the study is exactly, findings of the study is saying. What my study found exactly, I have used the VIC model to measure the intellectual capital efficiency. So human capital, structural capital, and relational capital we have to find with this. And what my study is exactly find, what kind of result is saying that 70%, the sample companies which I have taken, the same 70% of the companies which I have taken for the samplings are the bad performance in terms of intellectual capital efficiencies. And more important, what was the findings? That the findings are saying even from the IT sectors, there are so many firms from the IT sectors which have the low intellectual capital efficiency, and even from there are so many sectors which people are thinking that intellectual capital is not important for that sectors. They chose a good intellectual capital efficiency. And here what other findings of my studies, that human capital efficiency, that is the playing a significant role for the company's performance enhancing. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving this opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am, for this insightful presentation. Now I request the judges to please give the feedback and ask questions if they have any.
Which statistical technique you have used basically, Suman?
Ma'am, for the measuring the intellectual capital efficiency, I have used one model that is given by the Antic Pulik in 1998 and 2000. And according to that, I have measured the intellectual capital efficiency. And there are five steps how I can measure. There is a human capital efficiency. There is a structural capital efficiency and the capital employed efficiency, which I have counted.
Got it. Is it a strategy? Is it a systematic literature review?
Yes, yes, ma'am. There is a.
Okay, so what are the keywords you have used for this?
Ma'am, I've used this HCE, human capital efficiency, structural capital efficiency, and the structural capital efficiency, financial performance. This.
Okay, so how many papers you reviewed?
Ma'am, this study is related to my thesis, my PhD study. So I have so many papers for that. For this study, I have used approximately 40 to 45 papers for even for this objective.
For this objective.
Yes, ma'am. For this
All right.
specific objective, yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Done. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you so much,
work.
ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable feedback. Now, I invite Ms. Harshita Bansal, and her topic is analysis of the capital structure determinants, FMCG sector.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Harshita. My topic is analysis of capital structure determinant of FMCG sector. Why capital structure? Why capital structure? Well, capital structure is measured as one of the most controversial topic in the area of financial decision making because it is related with the other finance decision variables such as payment of dividend, financing of project, and the merger and so on. Several studies has been done on the conducting regarding the capital structure, but these have been done on the Indian corporate firms in journal. The purpose of my research is helpful for some constructive information about the capital structure of the FMCG sector in India. From my from my literature review, I come to the research gap that why the FMCG company is not touched yet. First, it because of due to increase in the disposable income of the Indian consumer, and the second, it has lots of unbranded categories of various products. Moving over to the objective, my first objective is to determine the determinants of capital structure of multinational firm in the FMCG sector in Indian capital market. Second is to examine the relationship between firms' liquidity, profitability, tax, size of the firm, and the debt ratio is as explained by the trade-off theory. Now the next slide shows the method I have used in my research paper. The data is the secondary data of the company listed in the National Stock Exchange of India. My main source is Money Control and the company's official websites for the time period of 2013-14 to 2018-19. The tool I have used for my analysis is multiple linear regression with the help of SPSS. The variable, as I stated in objective second, is independent variables are text, profitability, liquidity, and size. The independent variable is leverage. I have tested 4 hypotheses. The first one is firm liquidity has no relationship with debt ratio as per the trade-off theory. Second, firm profitability has no relationship with debt ratio as per the trade-off theory. Third, firm corporate taxes have no relationship with the debt ratio as per the trade-off theory. And last but not the least, firm size has no relationship with debt ratio as per the trade-off theory. Talking about the result and the discussion for the long-term leverages, we can see that the result, the table shows that the impact of liquidity, profitability, tax, and size. In the liquidity, we have the positive but insignificant regression coefficient on the long-term leverages with 0.299 as the level of significance and 1.06 as the t-value. Coming to the profitability, we can see it shows the negative and insignificant regression coefficient on the long-term leverage with 0.932 level of significance and 0.85 as the t-value. For the taxes, it shows the negative significance regression coefficient on the long-term leverage with value of 0.27 as the level of significance and minus 2.231 as at the t-value. For size, it shows the negative and non-significance regression coefficient with the value of 0.576 level of significance and minus 0.60 at the t value. And for the total leverage, and for the total leverage, we can see that it shows the negative significance of the regression coefficient, which means it rejects the first hypothesis. And for the profitability, it shows the positive significant regression coefficient, which also said that for the second, we can reject the second hypothesis. And for the texts, it shows the negative and insignificant coefficient, which shows we are failed to reject our third hypothesis. And for the size, also it is the insignificant and negative and insignificant relationship. So that states that we are failed to reject our fourth hypothesis. Coming to the findings, we have seen that the liquidity, coming to the findings, we can see that in the long term, we have insignificant relationship of the liquidity, and for the short term, we have significant relationship. So it suggests that the firm holding large amount of cash or cash equivalents are less likely to use short-term leverage for the finance their investment as compared to the firm having more cash or cash equivalent in their hands. For the profitability, for the long term, it is insignificant, and for the short term, it is significant. So that suggests that the highly profitability firms are more likely to use long-term leverage and total leverage for finance their investment than the lower profitability firms. For the text, in long term, it shows the significant, and in short term, it shows insignificant. That suggests the highly tax paying firms are less likely to use long-term leverage, total leverage, and the short-term leverage for finance their investment than the low tax paying firm. For the size, coming to the size, long term, we can see in long term it shows the insignificant relation, and for the short term also insignificant. So it's suggested that the high size firms are less likely to use long term leverage, total leverage, and short term leverage for the finance their investment, or in other words, we can part their capital structure than the lower firm. In the conclusion, capital structure is a vital strategic finance decision that make firms have to make. Therefore, the result of my research helpful for constructive information about the capital structure of FMCG sector in India. As a conclusion, it states that the finding shows evidence that the trade-off theory appears to dominate the firm's capital structure in India. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the insightful presentation. Now I request the judges to please share their feedback and ask the questions.
Session chairs, we request you to please give your valuable feedbacks. Dr. Shikha Goyal and Dr. Jose Matthews, we request you.
You have a question to ask?
Yeah, yes, sir. You're audible.
I have no specific question to ask.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next, we have, we invite the next paper presentation will be done by Mr. Mehboob Ul Hassan on the topic assessing university students' environmental society, environmental literacy, socio-demographic perspective. We invite you, Mr. Hassan, to take on the presentation. Over to you, sir. Mr. Mehboob ul Hassan. Sir, you may start your presentation. Over to you. Please unmute yourself and please start the presentation. Thank you.
Sir, you are not audible. Sir, please unmute yourself. Sir, if you are facing any technical issue, I request you to rejoin again and then try unmuting yourself. I think that might work.
I think we should go for the another one. If you just can try to go with the another candidate, please.
Let's take a minute and see what our sponsors have in store for us.
Yes. Sir, sir, can you hear us? Are we audible to you? Sir, we can't hear you, sir, because, sir, you're not audible. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Sir, we are unable to hear you. Sir, if you could, can you please try removing your...
Please remove your earphone. If you're listening, please just remove your earphone and then try.
Hello.
Yes, sir, you're audible. Just a moment, we'll share your PPTs. Yes, sir. Over to you, sir. I hope the screen is also visible to you. Over to you.
Yes. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I am Dr. Mehboob Hassan from Lahore, Punjab, Pakistan. The topic of my today presentation is assessing university students' environmental literacy, focusing their socio-demographic perspective. Basically, I would define the term environmental literacy. Environmental literacy is the ability to recognize human influence on Earth's natural system. Natural system, that is rivers, that is plants, trees, and all the things that is constructed by our Allah Almighty. Environmental literacy acquired by human beings for sustainability of natural system. This is important skill for today's human beings. Individuals' awareness, individuals' motivation, and their participation is essential for the sake of environment. The term environmental literacy is revolves around three aspects according to literature. First aspect is knowledge, second is understanding, and third one is sustainable lifestyle. Knowledge further categorize focusing environmental literacy is ecological principles and processes, effect of humans on natural system, association between social system and natural system, and environmental issues, strategies of environmental action, and attitude towards them. Then next slide, the next aspect of environmental literacy was understanding. Understanding is the balance and sustainable approach. This is the value of words ecosystem, environment and its associate problem and issues. And the last is human environmental interactions. Then the third point was sustainable lifestyle. Sustainable lifestyle is the gateway to meet the needs of future generation, triplet bottom line approach to human well-beings, environmental sustainability, economic development, and social conclusion. Then please next slide. Next one, please. Then the second aspect of the framework of study. Present study follows the Holweg et al. 2011 environmental literacy framework that consists of environmental competencies, environmental knowledge and awareness, disposition towards environment, and environmental behavior. Please next slide. Next slide, please. Then the second aspect of the research was demographic variables. Demographic variables in this research consisted of age, gender, level of education, and environmental literacy. Please next slide. Research design and methodology. The researcher used descriptive research in this study, and quantitative research design used to measure the environmental literacy of university students. Please next slide. Sample of the study. Sample of the study consisted of 200 students. Among 400 students, among them 200 students from male side and 200 students from female side. Researchers selected total 4 universities, 2 from public side and 2 from private side. Please next slide. Then the data collection instrument. The researcher, after view of comprehensive literature, classroom observation, meeting with experts and professors, and environmental department working in district Lahore, the researcher self-constructed questionnaire focusing 3 aspects that already discussed. First one was the knowledge, second one was the understanding, and third one was the sustainable lifestyle. 20 overall questionnaire consisted of 60 items. Then mode of 5-point Likert type responses. After please next slide. Okay, when instrument was constructed, consisted of 60 items. It was validated from the experts. The experts the experts stated that 6 items are beyond students' understanding. They are different and they are difficult. Hence, the researcher removed 6 items from 60. Hence, total items of the questionnaire consist of 54 items, focusing 3 aspects: knowledge, understanding, and sustainable lifestyle. Please, next slide. Okay, the initial questionnaire was validated and was finalized from the language experts. You are seeing that it was piloted from 50 students, 25 students from male side and 25 students from female side. After validating, this questionnaire was reliability of the questionnaire was confirmed by calculating Cronbach alpha statistics. It was overall was 0.958. After ensuring its Cronbach alpha reliability, the researcher finally collected the data after focusing ethical consideration, that was volunteer participation, that was informed consent, and no physical and psychological harm of the respondents. Please, next slide. Then findings showed that there was no significant difference between university students' level of environmental literacy by gender. This is the value of P was greater than the 0.05, and university type. University type means public and private. Results further explored that there was no significant difference between environmental literacy of information students. P also was greater than 0.05. Please, next slide. To explore the further difference between groups, ANOVA was applied. The results of the ANOVA shows that there was significant difference between students' age level. To explore further difference, the researcher applied Tucky post-hoc. The results of Tucky post-hoc reveals that there was significant difference between 18 to 20-year students and 21 to 23-year students. Likewise, no difference was exist between 24 to 26 years age level of students. Please, next slide. Okay, the discussion of the current construct shows that the studies of Stewart and Becker 2001, Gowrie those are 2011 contradict with the results of current studies. Likewise, findings of the studies conducted by Hassu 2004, Power 2004 reported that the results of the current research was similar. Sorry.
It's a humble reminder for you that your 8 minutes are over. I request you to kindly wrap up and discuss with us the conclusion.
Okay. This is the end of the. This is the last slide, and that the university students have the potential to resolve environmental problem among society and environment. Now, this is the end of the last slide. Hello.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Yes, I have completed my presentation.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful presentation. Now I request the session chairs to kindly give their feedback and ask the questions.
Okay, if I just ask you over here, what was your methodology, sir?
This research was descriptive in nature, descriptive and quantitative in nature.
So which statistical tool you have used?
I used statistical package for social sciences, SPSS, and in SPSS I used independent sample t-test and one-way analysis of variance, ANOVA.
Why you use these tests? What was the use of that test?
To measure the significant difference between students type, students gender, male and female, to measure the awareness of university students, that either male students have more awareness towards environmental literacy or female students have environmental literacy. Furthermore, the students enrolled having 20 to 24 years age, 18 to there were three different sorts of students age. to measure age difference, that either students have more age, either they have more environmental literacy. That's why I imply analysis of variance.
No, but my question was why you use t-test?
T-test to compare mean difference between male and female and university type, public and private university students.
So what was the result? What you observed?
Results I have male students have more environmental literacy as compared to female students. Likewise, there was no significant difference between public and private students environmental literacy.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for bringing a new topic on the table. And thank you, ma'am, for sharing your valuable feedback. Now I invite Mr. Dev Bahubal, and his topic is how blockchain and cryptocurrency are affecting the Indian economy and styles of transactions.
So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dev Bahubal from Amity School of Economics, Greater Noida campus. So today I'm going to present on my topic, how blockchain and cryptocurrency are affecting the Indian economy and the styles of transactions. So the objective of my paper is to study how blockchain technology, cryptocurrencies, and non-fungible tokens are affecting and leaving an impact on the Indian economy in terms of employment, entrepreneurship, and cybersecurity, which are changing the styles of transactions. Along with that, I have some thoughts on the digital rupee, which will be minted for the session 2022 to 2023. So this is what we are going to discuss. Clarity in India and impact of blockchains along with styles of transactions. So what are blockchain, cryptocurrency, and NFT? Blockchain is a growing list of records called blocks that are linked together using cryptography. Each block contains a cryptographic hash of the previous block, a timestamp, and transaction data. Just to explain what is cryptography, cryptography is associated with the process of converting ordinary plain text into difficult text and vice versa. Cryptographic hash function is a type of hash function used for security purposes, and timestamp is the record of time of occurrence in a particular event. Metadata is a set of data that describes and gives information about other data. Cryptocurrency is a digital currency designed to work as a medium of exchange through a computer network that is not reliant on any central authority, such as government or bank, to uphold or maintain it. A non-fungible token, NFT, is a digital asset that can be identified through its unique qualities held with its metadata. Due to the way they are designed and minted, NFTs are unique and cannot be replaced, altered, or changed in any way. Once they have been created, they will be permanently etched on the blockchain's public ledger for all to see. Moving forward, popularity of cryptocurrency and NFT in India. The official ruling on cryptocurrency exchanges in Bharat, India's area unit is more prodigious than the remainder of the world in the terms of Bitcoin adoption. According to the annual crypto proliferation index made by the net broker choose, this is the non-profit research organization, broker choose, Bharat has the best range of crypto house owners within the world, with over 10 crores, followed by the US and Russia. In August of 2021, Chainalysis, which is also a research non-profit organization, discharged in 2021 International Crypto Adoption Index, which places Bharat second out of 154 nations. Non-fungible tokens or NFTs are there since 2014, but they become a reality in Bharat 7 years later in 2021. Once a growing range of Indian celebrities, together with actors, athletes, artists, and other, grew fascinated by the digital token and launched their own NFT collections. A digital token is a part on the Bharat has been focusing quite ever in the recent months, and the conception has absorbed everybody. Moving forward. Okay. Journey of cryptocurrency and NFT in India. Starting with the year 2012, the cryptocurrency created its refined entry. Someday around 2012, once small-scale Bitcoin transaction has made started happening across the country. Year 2013, sometime within the year 2013, Bitcoin began gaining some quality inside the country. It was within the year 2013 once the vintage era shop, referred to as Colonial in Worli, Mumbai, become the primary eating place service in the Asian country to just accept payments in Bitcoin. Gradually after 2013, the increase within the use of the parallel currency began. Year 2016, finally, once the ending transpires within the year 2016, additional investments in the cryptocurrencies began to lower the uncertainties. Individuals started shopping for giant orders of the Bitcoin and different cryptocurrencies that they might sell at a later date. The opposite and well-known style of cryptocurrency are Ether, Ripple, and Litecoin. In 2017, some apprehensions are encompassing the employment of cryptocurrencies over since the Bitcoin crash in 2017. Moving forward. Year 2018, in this year, cryptocurrency was concerned with a very serious legal procedure, and with the budget speech of 2018-19, the government minister proclaimed that the government doesn't think about the cryptocurrencies as tender. The government additionally mentioned that they will take all the required measures to form positive that the employment of the cryptocurrencies is eliminated from all activities. Then a ban was obligatory on the employment on an equivalent by run batted in considering its unregulated setup and risk. Moreover, according to the PRS legislative analysis, the draft bill was passed within the same year that prohibited any variety of mining, like creating cryptocurrency, issuing, buying, holding, selling, or dealing in cryptocurrency within the country. However, the bill allowed the employment of technology or process underlying the cryptocurrency for any experiment, research, and teaching in different fields. It is often analyzed that somewhere within the year 2018, the Bitcoin neared about $20,000, so remained below $20,000 until recently, the year 2020. It showed several ups and downs, trends in between, and additionally pointed drop by the value somewhere close to the year 2019. The PRS legislative analysis, PRS is a non-profit organization in India, research organization. Sorry, just give me 1 minute. Sorry. 1 minute is left from correct. Okay. There are several impacts of blockchain on the Indian economy, considering that the fintech market has seen the huge growth and the paddle the economic process in one way or the opposite. There are a number of challenges like money inclusions, high setup, group action prices, and group action times. Blockchain technology virtually eliminates the necessity to belong with the ancient financial setup. Moving forward. There are several styles of transactions which include Google Pay, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, and the Indian minted Paytm and Bharat Pay. And for example, blockchain technology will cause a good transformation within the agriculture sector of the Indian subcontinent because it can take away the mistrust between the farmers and therefore the intermediators. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the insightful presentation. I now request the session chairs to kindly ask the question and give their valuable feedback.
Yeah, I found it very interesting, to be very honest, when I'm talking about the blockchain and cryptocurrency over here. My only one question is to you, that what is your viewpoint? This is must be you have read it somewhere, right? If I just ask you as a general human being, citizen of India, what is your viewpoint onto this? What is the connection which you find? Your own viewpoint.
My own viewpoint would be that the one major thought which I had on the way today here is that about the budget speech about the digital rupee that is going to be minted in 2022 session as a digital currency. So there's a difference between digital currency and cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is more is more cyber security, and digital currency is like just another currency with a face basically. So I think that digital rupee should be minted as a cryptocurrency because it will promote internationalization of Indian economy and will give the opportunity to rupee to have an edge over dollar. And it
Should
can
go,
also
so we
help.
should go ahead with this. We should, the new generation should go ahead with this, right?
Right, exactly. That's
okay. Okay,
and
that's your viewpoint. Okay.
yeah, and it can also helps in the higher level research and employment of the skilled workers in India, basically. And
Yeah,
also,
fine. Fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for sparking curiosity about cryptocurrencies. And thank you, ma'am, for sharing your valuable feedback. Now I invite Mr. Gitanshu Kakkar, and his topic is an evaluative study of security threats of digital banking in India.
Okay, so good afternoon, session chairs and one and all present here. So the topic for my research was an evaluative study of security threats of digital banking in India. Beginning with the introduction, India has second largest internet population in the world after China and presents unmatchable development prospects for the internet segment in coming years. The banking sector is one of the major recipients of internet uprising, and growth in the rate of banking technology products have been remarkably growing. The dominant gain of digital banking is that individuals can make transaction anytime, anywhere without visiting the bank branch. This helps them to complete their transaction just at the click of the button. Digital banking system proved to be very versatile in completing transactions like bank inquiry, withdrawal, deposits, etc. Considering all the advantages, security of financial information of clients is a major concern for all the banks. Even though digital banking is very convenient and fast, it is hindered by several security threats. Banking institutions have taken several actions to ensure safety measures for their customers while carrying out various online transactions. In this context, an effort has been made to inspect and evaluate the digital banking security measures followed by various banks in Delhi NCR region for the benefits of its customers. So now coming to objectives, the central objective of my study are to analyze the customer perception and awareness towards digital banking security, to understand the difficulties faced by customers while using digital banking service. And the last one was to know the impact of the digital banking security among the selected customers in Delhi NCR region. Research methodology. The present study is analytical in nature. Accordingly, the data used is both primary as well as secondary. The relevant reports from RBI monthly bulletins, magazines, newspapers, etc. are used for the current study. The awareness of perception towards satisfaction of internet banking security is studied with the help of structured questionnaire to analyze the collected data. Various statistical techniques and tools such as averages, frequency distribution tables, and normal distribution table were used. The study also used suitable statistical tools such as mean, median, standard deviation with coefficient of variation, correlation, and regression analysis. Coming to results, when I was doing the research, I found that the 32% of the respondents were aware about the security issues in internet banking through advertisement, whereas 18% of the respondents were made alert through their bankers. 46% of the respondents were conscious of password protection security, whereas 8% of the respondents were only attentive of authentication security. 64% of the respondents believed that the traditional banks were more secure, whereas 12% of the respondents found the deposit and withdrawal system in traditional banks is easy. 94% of the respondents said that the internet banking saved their time, and 86% of the respondents said that they accepted that convenience was most influencing factor in internet banking. 66% of the respondents used the service of electronic fund transfer in internet banking. 66% of the respondents frequently use the internet banking transaction, and majority of them change their password monthly. 50% of the respondents faced the problem of hacking attacks and phishing attacks. Now, concluding my presentation, to sum up, the current study analyzed the internet banking customer in the to understand various aspects of internet banking services and the concern on the security measure by the customer. The outcome of the research on the internet banking helped to identify the precautionary checklist open to for a number of issues in the internet banking era. Furthermore, a supreme and powerful security policy employed by banks and legislation instituted by local or state government should be in use and obligatory in order to improve the security in internet banking system. In addition, the bank should provide enhanced, new and improved high-tech security measures such as internet scam protection, hacking detectors, and antivirus protection, etc. These upgrades can provide better discretion to both existing and prospective internet banking customers. Thank you so much.
We request the session chairs to address their queries towards Mr. Gitanshu. Session chairs, over to you.
So there is no mention about the sampling and the questionnaire that you have used in the study.
So you
There is no mention about the sampling and the questionnaire that you have used in the study.
So your voice is not clear. Can you please repeat?
How did you do the sampling and how did you construct the questionnaire? How did you construct the questionnaire and there is no information about the sampling?
Questionnaire was constructed through pre-tested methods that were already used by some of the researchers that I have already given their names in the reference section.
About the sampling?
And the sampling was random sampling that was done by me.
Now, what was the criteria of random sampling? All the internet users of all the banks or only few banks?
Various demographic and their occupational structure, and then I collected data from approximately 150 to 200 respondents. Due to the time constraint, it was very low, so that was it is the only limitation of my study.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gitanshu. And thank you, sir. Just a moment. Next, we invite Mr. Aditya Bagga to present his paper on a study of accessibility and availability of healthcare services and challenges ahead, the Indian scenario. Over to you.
So greetings to everyone present here. So my research is about a study of accessibility and availability of healthcare services and the challenges ahead. That is basically pertaining to the Indian scenario. Right. So as we all know, with the coming of COVID-19 pandemic, the inefficiencies of India's healthcare sector have not remained hidden, with increased deaths rendering the doctors, the paramedics, and other staff completely helpless. To understand where we actually lagged in meeting the gap between the availability and the accessibility, we need to study the anatomy of the current healthcare scenario in the country. Hence, we need to dissect the picture of the healthcare facilities in terms of demography, the needs in terms of gender, income groups, and regions to understand the problem at the grassroots level. So in order to cover the entire country, the inefficiencies at once, instead of a blanket approach, which is basically putting equal amount of money in every sector in order to achieve the expected outcome, we would use a targeted approach. So basically, if a country develops upon its health infrastructure, the health of individuals would increase, and stating the Grossman model, this would directly increase the efficiency Efficiency would increase the number of working days, in turn increasing the income, which would contribute towards the GDP of the country, leading to reinvestment into the healthcare sector. And hence, this would eventually solve the problem at a concrete level. So the objective of the studies to observe the opinion of population on accessibility and availability of healthcare services based upon perception and experience in Delhi NCR, to compare the accessibility and availability of healthcare services in Delhi NCR among various income groups, and to compare the perception of people about accessibility to the healthcare services based upon their gender and occupation. The last one would be to compare the accessibility and availability of healthcare services in various regions of Delhi NCR. Coming to the research methodology, sample size. To analyze the accessibility and affordability to the healthcare service in India, a questionnaire methodology was adopted and the data was collected from the population pertaining to Delhi NCR and having experienced a recent encounter to get or being admitted to a hospital. A total of 246 responses were collected. Demography would be defined ahead. A division of the population based on demographic characteristics is a key method to stratify the population in order to visualize the data collected in a categorical fashion, which would help to assess the individual impact of each group. Hence, this study adopted a demographic survey methodology to determine the penetration of healthcare delivery system based upon the following variables, which are gender, income level, occupation, and region. Coming to the reliability statistics of the questionnaire, the Cronbach alpha is coming out to be 0.813 on total of 20 questions, and hence it should be above 0.7, and hence it is safe to conclude that the scale is quite reliable. Analysis. So first, we'll be talking about various regions, and it would be, the null hypothesis would be there is no significant difference in the opinion of population of different regions about there's a shortage of hospitals, clinic, nursing homes in their surrounding. And the alternative hypothesis would be there is significant difference in the opinion of population of different groups. Now coming to the significance, it is 0.001, hence this is less than 0.05, and hence we reject the null hypothesis and accept the alternative hypothesis that yes, there is significant difference in the accessibility to healthcare services in various regions, that is Faridabad, Delhi, Ghaziabad, and Gurugram, Noida. Next, now we'll be coming to the income groups. The null hypothesis would be there is no significant difference in the experience of population falling under various income groups in getting the appointment of a specified specialist, and the alternative hypothesis would be there is significant difference in the experience of population falling under various income groups in getting the appointment of the specialist. Now, if we come again to the significance, we would again reject the null hypothesis and accept the alternative hypothesis that no matter what the income group is, no matter which hospital you are going to, it is difficult for the population in order to get the appointment of a specialist, which is quite alarming. Next would be coming to the gender, that is male and female. The null hypothesis is there is no difference in actions of females and males about going without medical care considering cost as a factor. The alternative hypothesis here is there is difference in actions of females and males about going without medical care considering cost as a factor. And it is quite interesting that in this case we would have to now accept our null hypothesis that yes, no matter what happens, male and female do consider cost as a factor, and they sometimes go without medical care considering the fact it is quite expensive and it burns a hole in their pocket. These are the references if you would have to look them once, and here's the summary. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable addition to the accessibility and availability of healthcare services and challenges ahead. Now I request the session chairs to please give their feedback. Now I request the session chairs to please share their feedback.
Okay, what is the level of accessibility and availability of healthcare services? You have mentioned about the differences between various groups. Can you hear?
No, can't hear you.
So you have mentioned about the different differences between the groups. What is the level of accessibility and availability of healthcare services?
Pardon, sir, I can't really understand the question. The voice is breaking in the middle.
What is the level of availability and accessibility of healthcare services?
Of healthcare services, right? What is
Yes.
the availability and accessibility of healthcare services based upon the demographic factors that I have taken in my research, right?
No, without reference to demographic factors.
Right. So as you have seen in the first slide of the analysis, I have covered about the fact that there is, see the scale. So basically, if we look at the mean, if you look at the mean of the descriptive statistics, most of the responses are falling under the line that most of the people disagree about the fact that the various hospitals and nursing home are conveniently located in their surroundings. Now let us talk about the ceteris paribus relationship here. Now, if I talk about a particular point, it is that if suppose in case of an emergency, if a particular hospital or a nursing home is not located in my surrounding, it would be very difficult for me to get the first aid. And coming to the responses of the questionnaire, it is seen that the mean is falling around 3.48, which is basically people are between disagree and strongly disagree. In that scenario, it is quite alarming to mention that people do consider that there is a lack of accessibility in the first aid available to them.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, sir?
Nothing.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable feedback and answering all the queries. Now I invite Mr. Kalish Saxena, and his topic for today is the effect on the financial performance of banks pre and post merger, a review of the literature.
Good afternoon to all. I am Kailash Saxena, a research scholar of Rabindranath Tagore University, Bhopal. My topic is the effect of financial analysis of banks pre and post merger, a review of literature. I am audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Oh.
Just give us 2 minutes, sir. We will share your PPT shortly. Just give us 2 minutes.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Sir, due to technical issues, we would request you to share your PPT, sir. We're facing some error here. So in keeping this smooth.
Okay, I can try.
Thank you, sir. Over to you. Please share your screen. Thank you.
I am sorry, I can't share my screen.
Sir, we apologize. Just give us 2 minutes. We are just sharing your screen. Just 2
Okay.
minutes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Over to you now.
Yeah. Okay. My topic is the effect of financial analysis of banks pre and post merger, a review of literature. Next slide. Introduction. Indian banking sector is a spine of Indian economy. Indian banking sector is a significant role to play in the economic development of the country. Merger and acquisition are global business terms used in achieving growth and survival. Merger entitled to coming together of two or more firms to become one big firm, while acquisition is the takeover or purchase of a small firm by the big firm, which are both purchasing similar motive. The merger, as per the Goodbole 2013, is the combination of the all assets and liabilities, loan and business of two or more companies such that one of them survive. Effect of mergers. Please slide change. As per the previous records, that Indian banking sector has made frisky growth in term of revenue due to supportive factors, but few banks were not utilized their resources and perform not well. To improve their financial performance, few banks were merged into other banks. In spite of these objects, the merger is to improve banking services, create operational and financial synergy, increase the share value, expand the market control on NPA, arrangement of recapitalization. There are some reasons to need the merger of banks in current scenario. The number of PSBs are very high. Recapitalization need will come down. Regulatory burden will come down. The NPAs, non-performing assets, are very high. Technology upgradation improve. Next slide, please. Review of literature. After the review of literature, I found a research gap of the study. It is being observed that majority of the aforesaid studies are based on human resource trends and few works found in the field of financial analysis and profitability of the bank. Profitability, solvency, assets utilization capacity, and financial analysis of pre and post merger has not given due importance. The researcher has made an effort to address this research gap and made to attempt to make complete study on pre and post merger performance of bank. Next slide. Objective: to analyze the financial performance of bank pre and post merger, to analyze the impact of merger on financial performance of bank. Research methodology: the study is based on secondary data. The source of data such as annual reports, related journals, published data in newspaper, BSc, NSC reports of Indian Banking Association, money control, and government reports. The methodology used is through ratio analysis, net profit margin, earning per shares, price of earning ratio, assets, net assets turnover ratio, return on assets, interest coverage ratio, T-TAS and chi-square are used to analyze the performance. Conclusion: this paper provides a view on the effect of financial performance of banks pre and post merger. Merger is also given effect to merger of banks performance and utilization of assets capacity. Some studies that after merger SBI did not significantly improve its financial performance. Some other studies examine that SBI found a mixed impact towards positive side of merger. Other studies conclude that ICICI Bank does not able to utilize its assets and capital in proper manner, which leads to decrease EVA after merger, but IDBI Bank has utilized its capital and assets efficiently, which leads to highest increase of EVA. As per the result of other overseas studies, that merger and acquisitions have significant impact on banking sector performance of Nigeria and no significant improvement in Malaysia local banks. Overall financial performance of pre and post merger. This study is conclude that performance of bank after merger was remain positive and negative both. It means merger does not show any great changes in terms of its capital equality, assets quality and utilization, management efficiency, earning quality, liquidity position. Merger will increase the performance of bank in the positive manner.
Excuse me, sir. This is the reminder that your 8 minutes are over. We humbly request you to wrap it up.
Ma'am. Yeah. It would not be wrong to say that the positive effect of merger will be shown after 4 or 5 years of merger. We can't. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I express my appreciation for this wonderful and insightful presentation. Now I next invite Ms. Sanya to present on the topic study of online buying habits of the Indian consumers through various online products. Over to you, Sanya.
Good afternoon, everyone. So as you can see on the screen, the objective of my research is to study how the factors that determine the online purchasing of Indian consumers for personal care products are affected by different demographics. And in this paper, I've taken 2 demographics. To begin my research, I can say that there's a theory that is called theory of buyer behavior that was given by Howard and Seth that explains the buying behavior of individuals over a period of time. So according to the theory, choice is not basically just determined by impulsive factors, but by systematic factors wherein the buyer behavior is very rational and hence it can be observed in certain standard ways. So according to the theory, in buying frequently bought products, in which my products come, that is personal care products, the consumers usually simplify their tasks by storing relevant information and establishing a routine in the decision-making process. Coming to the research methodology, I've used the quantitative research. The approach has been primary research. I've collected the data through surveys, that is online surveys. My sample size mostly comprised of people between the ages of 18 and 60 years, but who have made online purchases for personal care products, and the sample size has been of 126. Coming to the data analysis, I have analyzed the data based on 2 demographics, that is across gender and across different income levels. For the first, so my research is basically based on 13 variables that have come under 3 factors, that is convenience, variety, and cost. And so I've analyzed the data based on those. So I've conducted t-tests for the first analysis, that is the alternate hypothesis has been that convenience has affected the purchasing patterns of males and females, and the null hypothesis is that it hasn't. As you can see, the t-test, we can see that the calculated value of 1.335 is greater than 1.184. Hence, we reject the null hypothesis, coming to the conclusion that males and females are affected differently by the nudges that promote convenience in online purchasing of personal care products. Similarly, for variety, we can see that the calculated value has been greater than the tabulated of 1.334. Again, we reject the null hypothesis, again showing that the variety does affect males and females differently for buying personal care products, and similarly for costs involved in buying the personal care products. Again, we reject the null hypothesis as the calculated value is greater than the tabulated one. Coming to the second part of the analysis, based on different income levels, we can see that in this I've run an OVA test. So since the F value is greater than the critical value, we reject the null hypothesis, coming to the conclusion that income levels significantly impact the nudges that determine the online purchasing. The second one, wherein we use variety, the F value is lesser than the critical value. Hence, we are accepting the null hypothesis that variety as a nudge or as a factor does not really is determined by the rising income levels of the consumers. Thirdly, for the costs, we can see that again, the F value is lesser than the critical value, and hence the null hypothesis is rejected. Again, coming to the same conclusion that different income levels do not have a significant difference when it comes to the cost involved. Now, coming to the conclusion, I can say that the purchasing habits has been tremendously different across males and females, that is gender, and across different income levels. So we can see that the widely accepted notions that rising income levels actually encourage more purchasing of products in terms of variety and in terms of the cost involved has been negated by the study of the samples that I've collected. The future scope, since online behavior is constantly changing and only one can presume tremendous scope in studying the buying behavior. For instance, nowadays, when we see a lot of companies promoting 10 minutes delivery, it has significantly impacted how people want to change their purchasing habits. And such studies can actually be used by many companies in developing their personal care products and choosing the appropriate channel of selling it, whether online or offline. Coming to the recommendations, I've seen a very stark difference in how personal care products are being sold to women and are being sold to men. We've mostly stigmatized personal care products as relating only to women. So by advertising more, by making the personal care products appeal more to men, I feel we can provide a very useful study on my research. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sania, for your valuable insights on the topic. Now, I would like to invite Ridhima Verma. I hope, ma'am, you are here with us. Ridhima Verma. Ridhima Verma I think Ridhima Verma has joined.
Am I audible?
Yes, Ridhima Verma. Ma'am will now present on the topic sustainable fashion, a closer look at the circular fashion economy in India. We'll just share your PPT, ma'am. Just give us a moment. Ma'am, if possible, we would appreciate if you could switch on your webcam.
Yes. Am I visible?
You.
Ma'am, over to you. Can you please turn on your webcam?
I have. Am I visible?
I can't hear you. Am I visible? Can you see me?
Yes, ma'am, you are visible. You can proceed.
Okay. So, my topic is sustainable fashion. A closer look at the circular fashion economy in India. Can we change the next slide? So the fashion industry is considered as one of the most polluting and unsustainable industries with a demoralizing influence on the environment. The textile production has become one of the most polluting industries, producing a 1.2 billion tons of carbon dioxide per year. This can be contributed to the concept of fast fashion, the take, make, and dispose pattern in the fashion or the fast fashion, which is a modern day phenomena. The idea in the fast fashion is to provide consumers with a ready flow of cheap clothing, which is often of a very low quality. And this has increased the number of fashion seasons from a two summer season and winter season fashion, which used to come before, to 50 to 100 micro seasons today. In addition, the average number of times a garment is worn before it's discarded it has usually declined. According to the Boston Consultancy Group and the Global Fashion Agenda, the global apparel consumption has rose from 62 million tons in 2018 to increase by 3.4% per annum, which is acuting to 102 million tons, estimated to which is reached by 2030, wherein the textile waste recycling rate is only of 12%. And if this remains, 25% of the global carbon emissions will occur in the fashion industry by 2050. Next slide. Until a few years ago, Indian households followed a typical pattern of using clothes. A new shirt was first worn by the eldest child, followed by the younger siblings or cousins. And if it was still in somewhat a wearable condition, it was either given to the house help. And if it was not in such a condition, it ended up as a cleaning cloth. The circular fashion industry is a regenerative system in which garments are circulated as long as the maximum value is retained and then returned safely to the biosphere where it is no longer of use. The products designed in the circular fashion model are developed with the next use in mind. So if everyone bought just one used item in a year instead of a new one, it would make a huge collective and positive impact on the planet. The ultimate goal of circular fashion is that the lifestyle of products should bring no socio-economic or environmental harm. This concept gained a lot of popularity in India during the pandemic lockdown, wherein several social media accounts and brands started selling pre-owned apparel, or which they call as pre-loved fashion, and these products were being sold out, which was faster than expected. Next slide. Before this, objective, yeah. So the basic currency of all human interaction is value. And the only reasons consumer engage in consumption behavior is to seek valuable objects. The objective of my study is to understand the consumer's perceived value associated with the circular or pre-owned fashion, and to understand the emotional value, the financial risk, the social value, and the environmental value which is associated with buying pre-owned fashion across different genders, age, social culture background, spending power, and also considering luxury items for resale in mind. Next. So I used an exploratory research which followed a mix of open-ended and closed-ended questions. And I circulated questionnaires and used the software Survey Monkey to conduct these surveys. I also did a lot of phone call and face-to-face interview. In total, the sample size, including the surveys which were conducted offline and online, were of 200 people to understand the consumer behavior and the consumer behavior and the pattern in purchasing pre-owned fashion. The geographical limit was limited to the state of Delhi. When structuring, next slide. So when structuring the questionnaire, I wanted to focus on 4 key areas to understand the consumer behavior which is related to pre-owned fashion. One is the emotional value, which is the perception of value and the emotional state which consumers feel when they shop or wear these pre-owned fashion products. It is perceived positive emotional changes consumers feel, such as pleasure and good feelings when they use such products. So the questions were mainly based if one feels happy when they purchase a product which is pre-owned by someone. And often shopping is considered as a retail therapy for a lot of people. So does buying pre-owned fashion give them the stress relieval or the sense of satisfaction in that? So that was taken into account by considering emotional value. Then considering social value. So social value is the perception of being socially recognized or receiving a favorable evaluation from others, which is due to the social image of the products which they wear or the satisfaction of the consumers get as per the social needs.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, your time is up. Here, this is the warning to tell you that 8 minutes is over. Please.
I'll come to the findings straight away. Can you change the slide? No, before this. Yeah, so just to give a brief, the key areas were I wanted to find that gender specific behaviors when it comes to consumer fashion and age specific. So I found that when it comes to gender, men are respond less emotionally as compared to women. Then financial consideration risks were also for 92% for women and 47% for men. And social value consideration showed a very big gap, which was for 78% for women and 18% for men. Then when coming to age groups, I divided the age groups between Gen Z, millennials, and Gen Xers. And so for the, can we change to the next slide? Yeah. So the thing which was a bit off, that if you see globally, Gen X, which is ranging between the age of 18 to 23, usually have high environmental values. But when in my research, when I did for the Gen X of Delhi, it was shown that they are less sensitive when it comes to environmental concerns. Then it was found that the luxury clothing, which was above 15,000 INR, had a more more incentive for people to buy luxury clothing with a higher price range. When it comes to pre-owned fashion, sanitation stood as a major concern for this, and for pre-owned fashion. And next slide. These are the findings which I got. Then I've given a conclusion where it states that if a fashion brand who wants to get into pre-owned a resale of pre-owned fashion, or and if they want to get into the circular fashion model, then there are some considerations which they should keep in mind. One is that which is very important, is education or campaign activities to basically to show increase the social value and emotional value when it comes to second-hand clothing, and to improve the sanitation as well. So that's it. I think I would conclude on that.
Thank you, ma'am. We really appreciate your PPT, and we are thankful for your insightful words. Next, I would now like to request our session chair, Dr. Shikha Goyal, to kindly share her views and give valuable feedback to all the panelists and our audience. Over to you, ma'am. Dr. Shikha Goyal, over to you. Shikha Goyal, ma'am.
I would like to extend my gratitude to our honorable session chairs this afternoon, Dr. Shikha Goyal and Dr. Jose Matthew, who spared time from their busy schedules to grace this occasion. I extend my gratitude to the audience for staying with us throughout the session to make it a lively event. Last but not the least, I am thankful to the IT team and organizing team for making this session a success. Thank you all.
Thank you all. With this, we come to the end of session 4, and further details will be given. So please, everyone is requested to stay here and not to disperse. Thank you.